Welcome back to Decode the Plot, where we take the world's biggest stories, break them open, and reveal every twist your friends missed. Today, we're diving into the explosive, heart-stopping sequel to Fourth Wing, the book that shattered the internet, burned down TikTok, and resurrected the Dragon Rider fantasy genre. This is Iron Flame, a story where secrets bleed, kingdoms lie, and the truth is more dangerous than the monsters hiding in the dark. If you thought Violet Sorrengail's first year at Basgiath nearly killed her, just wait until you see what the second year does. In this recap, we're going full throttle. Every betrayal, every battle, every heart-stopping, breath-stealing moment. Told fast, told fierce, told in one continuous ride, just the way you love it. So buckle up, writers, sharpen your daggers. Hold tight to your dragon scales, because once this story starts, there's no safe landing. This is Iron Flame, decoded, unleashed, and retold like you've never heard before. The story begins in the raw aftermath of Basgiath's deadliest night. Violet Sorrengail, bruised, scorched, and barely alive, emerges from the ruins of Arisha with one brutal truth echoing through her bones. Everything she believed about Navarre has been a lie. Her mother, General Lilith Sorrengail, had been fighting not rebels but Venin, corrupted wielders of magic feeding off the land itself. The leadership of the kingdom hid their existence, hid the exhaustion of the wards, and hid the approaching end of their world. And somehow, Violet, barely a few months into rider training, has become one of the only people who knows the truth. But there's no time to mourn, no time to make sense of the betrayal, because the War College summons its students back. And Violet, still aching from the Gauntlet, the attacks, and the weight of Liam's death, must return to the one place built to break her. Basgiath War College stands tall like a monument to cruelty, a place where only the ruthless survive, and Violet has never been ruthless, only determined. And determined she still is. Violet returns with Xaden Riorson, her lover, her bondmate through their dragons, and the son of the most executed rebel leader in history. Their connection is dangerously deep. Their dragons, Tairn and the tiny but ferocious Andarna, form a rare dual bond with Violet, tying her to Xaden in ways no one fully understands. But the world knows nothing yet. To the college, they are just two students returning after a reconnaissance mission, a shallow excuse masking a volcanic truth. The moment they step inside Basgiath, the stakes shift. Violet is confronted by her new vice commandant, Colonel Varish, a man with a personal vendetta against her mother, her family, and by extension, her. His methods are crueler than any commander before him. He doesn't want Violet trained, he wants her broken. He wants her punished for surviving things she shouldn't have. And he uses a silent, horrible weapon, the torture of physical conditioning. Varish forces her into excruciating exercises designed to destroy her fragile joints and ligaments, knowing her body is weaker than most riders. But Violet refuses to yield. She refuses to die where she stands. Because this time she has something she's never had before, truth worth fighting for. While the days are controlled by Varish's cruelty, the nights belong to Violet and Xaden. Their hidden meetings pulse with forbidden intensity, their bond deepened by shared trauma and impossible desire. But Violet senses something shifting in Xaden, something darker, heavier. He carries secrets like scars, and one of them is the fact that he's been disappearing through shadows to places she doesn't know. He claims it's rebel business. She wants to trust him. But trust is harder now, after so many deceptions in her life. And yet, she can't let go of him. Inside the college, Violet must rebuild friendships fractured by the events of the first year. Rhiannon, her brilliant and loyal friend, welcomes her with open arms. But there's tension with Myra, her sister, who wants her safe at all costs. And then there's Dane, her childhood friend whose mind-reading betrayal nearly killed her last year. Violet can barely breathe in the same room with him. The wound is still raw, the betrayal still fresh. And Dane, guilt-ridden and ashamed, tries quietly, awkwardly, to make amends. But Violet isn't the same girl he once tried to protect. She's sharper now, angrier, tired of being handled like glass. As the year progresses, new high-stakes challenges surface. The second-year riders must learn offensive and defensive battle techniques against Griffin flyers, creatures and riders Violet once thought were enemies, but now knows are allies against the Venin. Training goes from brutal to impossible. But Violet's spark ability, her lightning wielding, grows stronger, sharper, almost violent in its hunger. Tairn pushes her mentally, demanding that she embrace the power she fears. And to make it worse, Andarna has entered a mysterious sleep-like stasis, cocooned in a state no one fully understands. Then comes the battle brief course. Commandant Panchek stands at the front, lecturing with the same sanitized lies Navarre always repeats. But Violet, armed with the truth, challenges him. Every time he tries to paint rebels as monsters, she questions him. Every time he hides the existence of Venin, she pushes back. Her defiance places her directly in Varish's crosshairs. But it also inspires a quiet revolution among the students. People start to see cracks in the official story, and cracks widen. Meanwhile, Violet's relationship with Xaden burns deep and dangerous. When they are together, the world seems bearable, until reality snaps them apart again. Xaden's duties take him away for long hours, sometimes days. And Violet, who is fighting both the college and the kingdom, begins feeling the distance like a blade between her ribs. She wants Xaden to trust her with whatever he's hiding, but every time she tries to ask, he deflects, lies, or shuts down. Love shouldn't feel like a war, but theirs does. Then the Riders Quadrant learns about the new enemy tactics. Venin and Wyvern have started coordinated assaults beyond the wards. That alone should be impossible. The wards should protect the kingdom, but they are failing, fast. Violet knows this. Xaden knows this. Their dragons know it. But the military leadership refuses to accept it. Everything intensifies during their field training mission. A group of riders is sent on what should have been a routine survival test. Instead, they're attacked by Wyvern, massive, venomous, fire-breathing beasts that should not exist within Navarre's borders. Violet and her squad barely survive, saved only by Tairn's brutal power and Violet's lightning. But the casualties are horrific. Students die, friends die, and yet when they return to the college, Panchek and Varish call the attack a tragic accident. Nothing more. The gaslighting makes Violet furious. Fear turns into determination. She begins documenting everything: attacks, sightings, inconsistencies. She begins rallying other riders, and in doing so, she becomes a symbol, not of rebellion, but of truth, but truth comes at a price. Varish begins targeting her more viciously. He forces her into daily endurance torture under the guise of discipline. He uses relic whips to suppress her magic. He forces her squad to watch, hoping to break her morale. But Violet, fueled by anger, fueled by love, fueled by the dragons who chose her, refuses to break. Then, after weeks of unexplained absence, Xaden finally cracks. He reveals only part of his secret. He's been working with Griffon riders in Poromil, trying to strengthen alliances before the wards fall. The first spark of trust returns until Violet discovers the bigger truth. Xaden has been hiding the existence of an entire group of rebels who secretly cross Navarre's borders to fight Venin battles the kingdom denies even exist. Violet feels betrayed again. Not because the cause is wrong, she believes in stopping the Venin, but because Xaden didn't trust her. Because after everything they've endured, he still shields her from the darkest parts of his world. And that fractures them. The emotional tension peaks when Violet must participate in the second-year war games, a massive battle simulation designed to test everything they've learned. But as the exercise begins, something feels off. Too quiet, too empty, too wrong. And then it happens. Wyvern tear into the sky. Venin erupt from the ground. The wargame battlefield becomes a slaughterhouse. The creatures attack not randomly, but with purpose, as if they were waiting for the perfect moment to strike the future riders of Navarre. Chaos explodes around Violet. Students run, dragons scream through the air, lightning and fire tear across the sky, bodies fall, Tairn fights like a living storm. Violet unleashes lightning that shakes the ground. Xaden arrives in a whirlwind of shadows, carving through enemies with terrifying precision. And yet, even with their combined strength, even with the power of 2 dragons at her side, Violet is overwhelmed. Wyvern pin her squad down. A Venin nearly drains her to death. And just when all seems lost, Andarna wakes. But she is not the same. She is grown, larger, golden, radiant. And in an instant, she bends time, her rare, ancient power freezing the battlefield long enough for Violet and the others to escape annihilation. It's awe-inspiring, terrifying, miraculous. After the battle, the survivors look not at their leaders, but at Violet. She has become proof of every conspiracy they denied. She has become the rider who saw the truth first and screamed it the loudest. The college tries to bury the event, to twist the narrative again, to silence those who witnessed it. But too many students saw Venin with their own eyes. Too many saw Wyvern. The lie is crumbling. And so is Violet and Xaden's fragile peace. The final blow shatters everything. Violet uncovers Xaden's final secret, the one he feared telling her most. He has been turned. Not fully Venin, not fully human, something in between. A wielder tainted by shadow, forced to consume magic in battle or die. He did it to protect her, to save their friends, to survive the impossible. But Violet has spent her life hating Venin, fearing the corruption. And now the man she loves stands on the edge of that darkness. Her heart breaks. Not because Xaden is tainted, she could learn to understand that, but because he didn't trust her enough to tell her. Not until she found out on her own. Their relationship, as explosive as it was passionate, fractures open, not destroyed, but wounded. The year ends with the riders relocated to Arisha, once rebel territory, now their only safe haven. Dragons gather, leaders gather. Survivors gather. For the first time, the truth is louder than the lies. Navarre is failing. The wards are collapsing. The Venin army grows stronger every day, and a war unlike anything in history is coming. Violet stands on the edge of this war with fire in her blood, lightning at her call, 2 dragons bonded to her soul, and a heart that refuses to yield. She may be small, she may be breakable, but she is a Sorengale. Forged in pain, tempered by truth, powered by love and fury, and Xaden, tainted, torn, dangerous, stands beside her in the shadows. Their world is burning, and the iron flame is just beginning to rise. And that is the chaos, the heartbreak, the fire, and the fury of Iron Flame. A world built on lies, collapsing under the weight of its own secrets. A girl who was never meant to survive, now standing at the edge of a war that will rewrite history. And a love so dangerous it could either save everything or destroy them both. If you thought Fourth Wing ended with a twist, this book throws you straight into a storm with no warning. And the fallout, we're only seeing the beginning. Thank you for riding through the shadows with me. If you want the next book broken open piece by piece, every twist decoded, every secret exposed, make sure you're strapped in and subscribed, because this story is only getting darker, deeper, and deadlier. Until then, protect your dragons, question every truth, and remember, in a world built on lies, surviving is the loudest rebellion. This is Decode the Plot, and I'll see you in the next story.